Hello, everybody. It's episode 160 of the Holdback Rack podcast. Adrian's here. I'm here. Chat's kind of here. I know Jake Hole's here. And Zivs. Let's do our little sponsor shout out thingy majiggers. PetDNA.com. For all your testing needs, use code #ShitHappens for $5 off the crypto panel. And there's other tests too. Mini tests. You want to test something? They probably got it. PetDNA.com. Brother. Sorry. I'm in like a weird. I didn't sleep good last night. The kid started school today, and now I'm like back on kid schedule. I'll try to keep it together for you, though. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Xotics, he is going to be vending the Charlotte ARPE on September 21st and 22nd with Hognoses and some ball pythons and his beautiful face. So please check out Shane Kelley Small Tonic. Are you thinking about doing some of these new shows?
Possibly. Yeah. I'm always up for new shows. Get out of the area a little bit.
Yeah, it's two different crowds.
See different people. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to North Carolina here next month, the Mid-Atlantic down there. So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Bravo Zulu Ball Pythons, Eileen, she is doing her thing in college. Her husband, Marcos, is going to be vending the Colubrid Fest with Rusted Anchor Co. art. And they're going to be bringing their fun art stuff and hide boxes potentially. So check them out. When is Colubrid Fest? Do you remember? September
something. I don't remember what.
Am I making that up? September.
I want to say it's the end of September.
Yeah. Very cool. Hopefully people go and have fun, and it's the bomb diggity. Are you going?
I am not. That's a long trip. There's too many mouths here that need my attention.
Right.
Rats and everything.
I am jealous though. Like I want a Colubrid Fest South, like for me. But I feel like that's just self-serving. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it's going to be good. Justin Brill, Stoneage Ball Pythons. I forgot to ask him for an update, but he just did the Portland Metro Expo, so we'll find out how good that was. And the next show is August 10th. Please check out Justin Brill at Stoneage Ball Pythons. Andrew, Powerhouse Pythons. What day is it? He has a show this weekend. The Albany one, Albany, Oregon, August 17th and 18th, which is a Pac North show. Hopefully that one is fire. Some of these summer shows have been like fire or dead. Just depends on the whatever promotion, I think. But Andrew does ball pythons, leopard geckos, rodents, gopher cocoa, Simpsons pythons, other stuff, turtles, fun stuff. Thank you, Andrew, for sponsoring Gray Family Snakes. They're on their way right now to Daytona for Daytona Palooza. And they're vending, and they're going to be doing lots of fun ball python things there, and probably just having fun on the beach. So that's cool for them. Are they vending? Did I make that up? I thought they were vending. I should find out. But at least they'll be there. And then Chris at BS Reptilia, he is not vending, only partying. Chris Shelly, find him, give him a fist bump for me. If you take a picture of that, I will reshare it on the Instagram at Daytona. He's got a lot of ball pythons coming up, bulls and pines and little locality boas. So thank you, Chris, BS Reptilia. I did it.
Good job.
Oh, thank God. Look who's here. JT's here. Eileen. Oh, wife, Elena. Sister, not wife. Sorry. That's a West Virginia thing. I got confused. And Lisa. Yeah, isn't that Carpet Fest kind of a Python Fest?
Kind of. For sure. For sure.
Have you been to the PA Carpet Fest ever?
I have not. I never went. Don't really have any carpets or anything. I barely have ball pythons, so.
It's just more of like a hangout. That's like the vibe I get. Okay. I'm always like, I don't do enough like events that are specifically for networking because I'm always like, I gotta go make money, or there's no reason for me to leave because I have 400 snakes and I have to take care of them.
That's
How
my
do
thought.
you?
That's my thought
Is that
exactly.
okay? Okay, yeah. It's just so hard. All right, can I have your like 60-second elevator pitch for your business, please?
60-second elevator pitch for my business. That's a tough question. It's basically I do mostly colubrids. I love. I started with corn snakes. Got into the hognose like almost 10 years ago. Back when they were kind of cheap. And just kind of ran with it. This whole thing just kind of snowballed. I started with a couple of snakes, and all of a sudden I've got 3/4 of my house is snakes. So, and I went full time this year. We're doing well, and yeah, just living the dream, I guess.
Yeah, well, going full time post whatever
Yeah.
recession, recession is an achievement, I think. What industry were you in before, if you don't mind?
I was landscaping, so it wasn't like I was making any money anyway. So
did you have to like sell a business to buy into this business, or did you just slowly like cash flow into? I
definitely cash flowed, kind of dollar cost averaged for like a decade, basically. I didn't have any money. I worked for a friend of mine doing landscaping. So I might have made 30 grand a year, 35 a year. So I just didn't have any money to really put into it. So I just kind of bred my way. Bought a little bit every year, bred some, hold some back, and off.
Do you think hognoses are the like basis for the ability to go full time now?
They are 70% of my income right now. Okay. My philosophy is to be diversified and to try to get even more diversified. I'm buying all different species. I think that's the key to avoiding crashes. Like you can't avoid the crash, but you can sidestep it and keep going. Whereas if you're all one thing and that thing decides to,
ball python out,
just the bed, yeah, ball python out, then you're kind of up shit creek. So yeah, I'm buying a lot of house snakes this year. I like house snakes. I think they're going to be popular. I like the size. I like anything small.
Yeah, it's very easy to like leverage your space on a small species where you're like, okay, I want 5, 10, like 5 males, 10 females, different morphs, localities, whatever. Yep. Oh, they fit just like right there, like in this little, and it's actually a pretty big cage relative to their body because they're a small snake. And it's like, no, I don't know. It's always been like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, if you want to like morph out,
yeah,
hognose is a good choice. Corn snakes are a good choice. Yep. Little happy pets.
Yeah. Something that people can handle. I don't understand like the big snakes and stuff. I don't understand how people make money doing that, and I don't understand who they're selling to. Like how many people can take a retic? I don't understand that. Like not that many.
No,
I guess people are making money on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, that's why that market has shrunk a lot. Because once people figured out they're not as fun to keep as you imagine it could be, you're like, oh, maybe I'll have one as a pet. Maybe if I can afford it. Right. Yeah. Were you in 2008? So you started 10 years ago?
I was just starting. So I got my first clutch in 2011. So in 2008, I had a couple of happy pets. But I remember the snakes kind of got they got cheaper.
Yeah.
What happened?
Because like there was a 2008 like softness until apparently like 2012. And this is just me like Googling the ball pythons. .net forum, basically. Like how many times someone asked per year if the ball python market was crashing is like an indicator of sentiment.
Right.
So that happened then, and in like 2018 2-ish, like there was like a soft spot like post GHI.
Yeah, a lot of auctions, a lot of stuff you're seeing now. Yeah.
So like
raffles.
Thinking back on those different times, do you think is that what informs your like multi-species strategy, or you're like, well, if I do ball pythons, I'm just doing the happiest pets possible, bananas, candinos, whatever. I'm not really
Right.
that worried about project chasing. What are your thoughts along
Well,
those
yeah.
lines?
Well, basically, a friend of mine kind of took me on his wing and took me to shows and stuff, and I kind of watched who was doing well and who was, who was selling what. And he does ball pythons, reptile genetics lab reptiles, Vernon Kitchen Jr. And I kind of watched a local guy, and he's still doing it, and he had every species imaginable, and he wasn't a flipper. He might buy a little bit, but he pretty much breeds all of this. And he always did well. Like, I'd watch him, he's just selling snakes all day long. 2 of this, 1 of that, 3 of these, 4 of those. And it seemed like a better strategy than trying to compete with everyone that was like everyone was doing ball pythons then, even worse than it is now. So it just kind of grew from that, watching him being successful, watching other ball python people not being successful. That's a tough racket to try to compete. That's all you're doing. Good luck. You could do it, but there's a lot of competition. So
yeah, it's hard because I think ball pythons, they obviously have appeal to a pet buyer too, some of them. And so like in a room, you can sell a lot of ball pythons. It just has to be like the right ones for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of these shows aren't really for high-end ball python buyers. You know what I mean? That's not the clientele there. And so there's a lot of like putting good snakes on tables, and then it's like mismatched to the clientele, and you're like,
yes.
Like,
I try not to mismatch. I try to make some pretty bananas, some pretty pieds, and go from there. And I enjoy ball pythons. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy them. I just didn't see it as a viable strategy. So,
do you think are people still buying high-end, let me Eric with that, $500 plus hognoses as pets, or are they losing enough money that they're like, it's got to be a Arctic male for 150 or something? Like, has it hurt them too? Because that's what I feel is happening in ball python land. They're like, I can't have a banana calico yellow belly. I can only afford a banana.
This year is different. I just looked at our numbers, and we're basically we're a little over what we were last year at this time. But it's different. There's definitely less money out there for some people. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So I mean, I sell hognoses to people for pets that are over $1,000. Like, those people are fine. They're doing fine now, and they can afford that. Then there's kind of that middle that you're talking about, where it might be getting, I don't want to say soft, but they're either baby breeders buying in that middle range, or they're pets that are going a little bit lower than that. Pet hognoses sell great.
If I could make like $200, $150 hognoses, I feel like I could sell them all in like 3 shows. Like if I was interested in just bulk making normals, which I don't know if I am really intellectually, it's like not, it's kind of boring.
It's not fun. Yeah, it's not fun.
But like if it's cheap, like there's a huge demand for cheap hognoses, I guess, because people are like, I just want one. It's
really anything up to $300.
It's good.
Once you get above that, it seems to be a little bit of a softness in that area. We're still selling them well though. It's just it feels different this year. It does. I think it's just the economy. I don't think it's more than that.
What are the baby hognose breeders gunning for project wise, do you think?
Still snows. Still snows. I just sold a snow super conda female at a show. My goodness, like, people still love snows. And then you're getting into the Arctic albinos and the Arctic toffees and the toxics and stuff like that.
So people are still like liking each project. They're not like saving up for Swiss chocolate, and they're like, no, I'm not going to invest in
not the people I'm selling to anyway.
Okay. That's
that
good.
makes sense. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like, I don't know, biases in the ball python market where they'll be like, that's out. All of a sudden, that's out. And you're like, what do you mean? I was fine like 6 months ago. And they're like, no, it's out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden it goes back to like sub $300. And you're like, well, it was hot for like 30 seconds.
For like
And then
30
Lisa
seconds.
asks, are orange ghost happy ball python pets? Because they're yeah, or just ghost hypo.
Ghost. Sure.
Do you think they're not that subtle, but too subtle compared to a banana to attract?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. They are. You need to add a little something to them, to give them a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, I like them better than almost any recessive in ball pythons. Just
me too. I'm all hypo.
Yeah, but I think they're a little subtle or whatever. You know, just like I like toxic hogs a lot, and I'm like, that might be a little subtle because I'm into gray snakes in general. It's like a personal problem.
We are aligned. I have a problem with gray things in general. Gray cats, gray rats, gray snakes.
Oh my gosh, I had 2 full litters of all blue rats, and I'm just like, this is perfect. This is a perfect bin. The purity of the races. Sorry.
It's okay. No, a couple years ago, I realized I looked down I had all my feeders there, and I looked down and they're all gray. But I had been holding back what I liked for breeders, and now everything's gray.
Yeah, I like different kinds of gray.
Yeah, I like different
qualities of gray. Oh God. And I even like went out of my way because I had like really, really nice blue does in Washington. And then I ended up buying them from Melinda at Cuddle Type Critters. I'm like, you got any blue does? A bunch of blue does for her. Yeah, it's a personal problem. But then I'm like, so people like flashy hog noses though. So like my taste honestly align with the market. How much do you like curtail your own obsessive desire to make gray worms and instead make some pink worms or red worms?
Right. You have to if you're running a business. I do, and I love albinos too. And albinos sell like hotcakes as well. So yeah, you got to definitely get your hand in all the fires. I just happen to like that fire, and that's my jam. But I try to make sure I have pretty much everything.
It does look like the market is better for albino combos versus exanthic combos. Like snow is good, but it looks like on Hognose side, like number of sales per quarter.
Yeah.
Albinos outsell exanthics.
Exanthics are usually higher priced though. So I don't, that might have something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
At least generally I sell them for more. So kind of evens out. But yeah, you're right. Anything that's bright is going to catch pet people. Or different, like super condos. Pet people love super condos. And you combine that with an albino, and you're cooking with gas. Then.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's the problem in corn snakes. Where like I like really subtle, boring corn snakes, but like even when your pet store comes up, it's like, can I buy 5 for my pet store? They're like, I want all of the albinos basically, or snows or whatever. And I'm like, I know, I get it, but you're boring me.
Then you're stuck with all the anneries. You're just like,
yeah, and they are harder to sell, and I understand why they're buying it. It all makes sense, but like,
I tell you what, the blues, the dilute anneries, they sell great for me. I never make enough of them.
Okay, that's good.
Those sell. As soon as I put them on Morph Market, they're gone. Just sold 2 last week.
Do they sell at shows though?
No,
that's what I thought.
Not at all.
It's wild that even the same like pet market it's really bifurcated. Like the things that translate well on Morph Market in a picture versus the things that they'll buy on a table.
Yep. Completely different animal.
Yeah. And then you don't have Chinese buyers running around Pennsylvania shows, do you?
No, I have sold some online, but no, nothing in person.
Yeah, caramel's a hard sell, especially as a baby, because it
Oh,
like kind of looks brown, and then if it's Miami, it's gray. They're your lip. Everyone's like, and I'm like, what do you mean? It's fine. It'll be cool when it grows up. Just give it a second. Come on.
even butters are hard. Anything with caramel in them seem to be a little slower. I love butters. I make them every year. I don't care if people don't like them. They sell eventually. But
do you find you ever have to like what do you reprice hognoses when they become a year old or something, like as they get bigger? Females maybe.
females, yeah.
Yeah.
Males, generally, if I got males left over, like I have 2 from last year upstairs. They're pet quality, and now they're a big pet, so I don't put any. No one's going to give me extra for them at this point. I just like to move them to a happy home. In fact, I'll put a sale price on them from time to time at the show, just to try to, get them out the door.
Yeah. Like it's sort of a problem for me with corn snakes, because I make enough that I have some left over by when they turn a year. But then I'm like, people will start messaging me like cryptically, because it's like it's the last year's price on a this year baby, and they're like, give me all of your females that are as big as possible. And I'm like, okay, but then they really should start. The females should start to be repriced. I'm just wondering if I'm missing something.
No, I think a female should be. Females, an in-demand female. If it's like an anery, corn snake, just get what you could get out of it. But if it's something that's popular, yeah, I think it should be. Female hognoses don't really get laid, at least not yet. I don't have extra ones of those at the end of the year. Like the spring shows, it's just a sausage fest.
Right.
I have one female on the table,
Right.
So.
It is funny how that happens. And then Jennifer says, I love those 23 females. Yeah, if you buy them late in the spring before people have thought to reprice them, it's actually like a very good deal as a buyer. Absolutely. I'm just like, do I take them down, re-photograph them, and then re-put them up with a new price? I'm a little confused about that. So I actually took all of them down of one kind, and I'll just take them to shows at a different price. And so it's like a different person seeing it, not somebody being like, you're tricking me, because it was just $80 last week.
Right.
And so I'll wash them. I'll launder these corn snakes through a couple shows.
Then put them back on. That makes sense. I would take them down and retake pictures and post them again. That's certainly what I would.
They didn't even go up that much, but there's obviously a demand for 18-month-old females. That's different than it's a worm and it's not,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So the future of hognoses, what do you think it is? Do you think it's so many recessive jammed in one snake it looks like raw chicken again, or what?
I don't think that's a viable strategy. No.
I've already started to see it. They're like, yeah, this is 3 things. Super Arctic. And I'm like, raw chicken.
Yeah. Some of them, and you know what? Sometimes you just got to try and see what it looks like. And then maybe we don't go down that road again. I forget who posted it, but it was a Super Arctic Super Conda Frost. This thing looked like it was metal. It was insane. It was
it's not
the coolest snake. Should be. Yeah. A guy, what the heck's his name? I think he's overseas.
Super Arctic Super Conda?
Super Arctic Super Conda Frosted. Oh. You'll love it because it's gray.
It was Prestige Corns.
It might have been. We got some Super Arctic Super Condas. Well, that's a Super Arctic Super Conda. No, this is a frosted version. So that's caramel and hypo together.
And it was on Instagram?
I saw it on Facebook, but I'm sure they're on Instagram too. I'm old on Facebook.
Yeah, that was it.
No, that's not it. That's definitely not it.
Super Arctic frosted conda. So just not a super conda.
Maybe it's just not the super. That's not what I saw though.
Oh, there's something else. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
it
cool.
was like metallic head and like that is cool.
Was it this guy or girl? Prestige corns.
Prestige corns, no, because
Okay,
they're in the
good.
United States. I saw it's I want to say Ems hogs, Ems, EMBS, something like that. I was positive it was from Europe. They do more with caramel over there.
Do you think caramel is the same as another hypo? It's just different line.
It's definitely not a different line. It came in with hypo and it's kind of attached to hypo. It's weird. I don't really know. I just kind of started working with it, hatched my first ones out this year with the frosteds. And I hit all frosted, no hypo and no caramel, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I was a double het to hypo het caramel. It doesn't make sense, but
do you think it's like polygenic and not a gene or like a? I don't know.
Maybe it's like a pie-sided and diffused. Like it's kind of attached, and it's hard to separate. That's why you don't see a lot of just caramel. You see some, but not a lot, because you'll do these pairings and you won't get any caramel out of it. You'll just get frosted. It's pretty odd. But I do think it's definitely the combos. There's definitely the way to go. As far as we don't want to make gray smudges though, so you have to be deliberate in what you're doing.
Super Arctic, super frosted.
That's what I saw. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I mean, it is a little baby, so it'll change some capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think. Okay, go ahead.
Gray snakes again. Yeah.
I can't help it. It's that's why I'm always like, I don't know, is the high-end Hognose market going to act like the high-end ball market where like the things that people who are super nerds are into are not the things that are going to be materially translatable to John Q public, and then we'll do the same thing. We're like, yeah, all the gray worms become $200 because they're cool, but they're all kind of samey. Yeah. Eventually, like I don't know, 10 years from now.
Yeah, that might be the end game for all morphisms, because it's kind of a game with the morphs. So yeah, that might be the end game for all morph centric species. That, like there's the
right, and if it's really attractive, it'll be 400. Mid 200, attractive 400. But like only super nerds like gray snakes. Is what I'm saying.
That's true. That's true.
What kind of polygenic work are you doing with your hognoses? Do you think there's stuff that I know people are like, yeah, lemon ghost, high red. Those are obvious. What other things have you seen that we should be working on?
What other things? I was going to say lemon ghost. That's my thing. I think we should be putting more of the polygenic stuff into the recessives. I think that will extend the life of lots of projects. Jeff's doing it with the sable and the lemon ghost. I have a toffee and lemon ghost and red. So I got red and lemon ghost hopefully going into some toffee. Rolling that up. Besides that, I mean, you can breed for whatever color you like. I mean, if you hatch out some cool snakes, you breed them back to the cool snakes and just keep going with it. Yeah, I don't know.
Some of them have really yellow tails. I want somebody to start making like copperhead sables or something. Like selectively breed the yellowest caudal lure tail possible, but on like a stable body. And I'm like, that would be fun. I'd pay that. I pay money for that. Just like, I'm so dumb, but there's so much like weird stuff about hognoses that is like different to me. Like sometimes the side dot is extremely dark and the top saddles are less dark. So there's like They sort of look like Eastern Hognoses sometimes.
Absolutely.
You could do that. You could make it black and like on red or whatever. That would be cool. Some of them have borders and some of them don't. You could make a Okiti Hognose by like selectively breeding borders in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much stuff to do. And I only have like 5 Hognoses. Like I can already see it. It's all coming together. Except that,
a few more to get that going.
I know. I'm not there. I'm not there.
I'm actually I do it a little like a kind of a goof project with the orange albinos, because there's a lot of people that will call things red that obviously aren't red. It bothers me, so I've been holding back the most saturated orange things. I should have stuff good enough to call. I'm gonna call them obviously orange. I'm not going to put any extra price on it or anything. It's just going to be an albino. It's nothing like that. I just kind of poking fun at people calling orange things red.
Well, what do you think it takes for something to be accepted as a line in Hognose land? Jeff to do it?
Only? Jeff to do it? Jeff to do it. That's the right answer.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you got to have at least 3 generations or 4 to really be able to call it something. I don't know what the rule is. They didn't call me.
I think this is a problem in Hognoses where somebody will be like corn snake. Someone will be doing something for 10 years and they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But like, that doesn't get a name because it's new. But when Kathy Love was doing it or Donnie Boy Soderbergh was doing it, they did 2 generations. They're like, I got sunglows. And they're like, this is sunglows now. I just spread out all the white and I just keep it going. And I still call it sunglow. And it's like, it's kind of like biblical or whatever. It's like it got codified a long time ago. That's the only things that can be selectively bred as lines. And if someone wants to, they're being like uppity. Oh no. You're back. They're being like uppity. You're like, well, I would like to codify this line because I think it's unique and it breeds true. And then nobody believes them because they don't have like the corn snake clout. So like, how do we have hognose clout necessary to like codify a line without being Jeff?
In fairness, Jeff has been breeding hognoses for what, 20 years or so, maybe longer. So maybe you have to just do it for that long,
and then you get to be.
Then you get to make
a person who gets to have a polygenic line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worse in boas because boas are like, yeah, I got this one snake once. It was kind of nice. It's a pastel. And I say that every descendant of this line is pastel. So now there's like 10 pastel lines and they kind of ruined the idea of a polygenic pastel line because like that's too many then. And they're not very distinct. And they come out of the wild looking that way. So congratulations, everybody. You ruined something. Lisa asked, what do you think it takes to make a super Arctic be pink?
Albino. That's easy. I mean,
I think she means like the base is pink, like blushed pink with like the black, tiger stripes or whatever.
I don't know if you could.
I've seen them. They're on the
it's basically xanthic. I mean, some of them are pink.
Like that Tom Harbin special that was on Morph Market 2 weeks ago. Did you see that one?
I don't know if I saw that one. I mean, I have one, a Super Arctic Honda that has some pink tones to it, but
like, do you think there's a gene in hognoses that's like red factor? I guess because some of the Super Arctics are like weirdly diffused with pink, and you're like, that's not in the saddles. That's like a base thing.
I think a lot of that might be the watermelon or the green hypo, depending on how old you are. That can affect, but it's hard to say because the Super Arctic's so overpowering. But that's what people call it anyway when they have a lot of pink in there. That you'll hear them say that there's watermelon in that line.
Do you think that's true, or do you think they're just like ascribing the properties of watermelon to something that doesn't actually have that line?
It's hard to say. I think I think it might be overused a little bit, like something that was bought once is watermelon, and then it's bred seven generations with no other watermelon in it. We're still calling it that. I think Super Arctic might just do that sometimes. Like, you get snakes that look a little different sometimes, and I think because of they change patterns so much, they change colors so much. I think maybe they just do that sometimes.
Do you think that, but you don't right now have any evidence that would be a selectable trait that we could enhance?
I don't, but I'm sure if you kept breeding pink ones, the pink ones, you would make more pink ones.
Yeah, sometimes it's like it's such a weak trait that it like even if you're selectively breeding it, you only get 1 in 10 that have it. So then it's like not really. But I have a
Right.
feeling it'll be one of those things where like you can select for this like diffused pink. I just have a feeling because like corn snakes are like that, and it's not something you select. It's a distinct gene, and then you're like, oh, okay. You just need the gene, so you need to go buy a pink one.
Right. Diffused pink. That's a good way of saying it because it confused me that question.
Yeah, the
They're not pink.
pink.
Yeah, I guess they are sometimes.
Because and then maybe that's why watermelon is watermelon, because watermelon's not really green. It's like weird pink and yellow under weird gray. And so like it makes it look kind of green. And then you're like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I know exactly what she's talking about though. Like I like the different kinds of Arctics, like too, that you can have like tigery ones and blackback ones or whatever. I feel like that's a direction people could go just in that morph.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot you can do with Super Arctic. They're just fun, just to make. And
do you like just going straight Super Arctic, or do you have a direction right now?
With Arctic, I'm pretty much putting it in everything. I'm putting it in Mercury. I think that's really gonna purple it up nicely. Yeah, Arctic's kind of like Yellow Belly. He's put it in everything because it makes it look better.
What are your favorite tips for IDing Arctic in lavenders?
In lavenders specifically?
Yeah, because moon dust is a
tough.
Yeah, I'm like looking at their stupid little heads. Sorry.
First of all, know the pairing, because without it, you're just guessing.
I feel like I'm guessing.
Yeah, sometimes you are. Waiting for sheds, it was really helpful. A shed or two can really bring some light on the subject. Besides that, you're looking for the little melanin rings and stuff like that, but normals have that.
Yeah.
And then there's some Arctics that don't have a lot of that. So you better know the pairing. I've kind of, back in the day, people used to pull out het pieds out of clutches. It's kind of like that. Like there's markers, but those markers are also on normals.
Yeah. Do you think we should charge more for moon dust than lavenders if we're not 100% sure? Like, should we just be like, all of these are lavender pos Arctics, and then $700 instead of like whatever moon dust are these days, $1,200?
I think you better buy from someone that will make it right, because there's always mis-IDs and mis-sexes and stuff with that, and some of them are obvious. There's some that are very obvious but there's a lot that aren't. So yeah, that's one of those things where you better trust your breeder.
Yeah, like I was talking to Shane Kelley, Small Town Exotics, and he has a Super Arctic female, and he's bred her to many things, so he's gotten to see every permutation of Arctic from her, and he's like, some are literally indistinguishable from normals. The only reason I know they're Arctic is because their mother was a Super Arctic. And I'm like, okay, great, thanks for the vote of confidence in my ability to ID moon dust in this stupid clutch. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not that fussed about it, but I'm like, to me, some of them, because like, I don't know if it's you agree, but to me in lavender, it doesn't want to form rings most of the time. Like it's much more obvious in like albino. You're like, oh, I can see it. It's right there. It's way obvious.
Right. Albino toffee makes it very obvious. Conda helps. Conda and Arctic are very reactive, so they kind of it shows off the Arctic. But yeah, you're
So you're telling me I'm up Schitt's Creek. I feel
pretty
like that's
much
what you're telling me.
pretty
Yeah, I
much.
was just gonna like sell them with my best guess, and if it's wrong, I'll just send you another one next year. I don't.
That's all you can do as a breeder, because you're always going to make mistakes.
Yeah,
We've all made mistakes. You just got to make them right.
And then the other thing I feel like I've noticed, but it could be like me making shit up, is that the Arctic ones, the base coat, I mean, you know this, but other people maybe don't know this. Lavenders are born sort of pink and brown.
Mm-hmm.
The base on the Arctic ones is more neutral. It's still sort of brown, but it's not as pink. Like it's sucked away a percentage of color.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
it does.
thank God.
That's pretty much what Arctic does. So yeah.
Right. It's strong though. You have to like sit them side by side. Be like, this one's way more cool toned, warm toned. Okay, Arctic Bile.
And that's the best way to do it too. When you have a clutch, is kind of have them there, just looking at them and comparing them to each other is helpful. I hatched out a bunch of Arctic Xanthics this year.
Was it the same way? Like, how do you cool tone, warm tone out of Xanthic?
I tell you what, though, they're starting to shed off, and it's real obvious. Then they shed off, and it's like, wow, okay, we're good now. I know this is what it is.
When do you think some of my Arctics, they get contrastier, but in lavender they can't become contrastier. They just get like shinier, more luminescent or something. Do you think that's true for other Arctic combos? Like, do the Xanthics get shinier, or do they get more contrasty?
They just got really, really bright, so contrasty. They lost a lot of the black and became very bright, very silver, very just pretty nice. Actually, it's a nice combo just by itself. So yeah, I think you're right about that with the lavender. I think lavender and Arctic reacts differently than most things.
Yeah, like I like moonstones. That's why I got into it to begin with. 500 years ago, because they look like. Did a moonstone happen before a storm cloud, like chronologically?
I don't know. I think so, but I don't know.
Okay, well, I feel like that's what I saw first. So I like that look, that like broody little blueberry of a snake look. Right? I'm in. But like now, I'm like, maybe I should have just done storm cloud because it's or storm cloud super arctics or whatever, because that's sort of the same look, but it's easier to ID the component parts. Whatever. Here we are. The bridge has been crossed and maybe burned. I don't know. Oh God.
I do think I think with the lavender and the Arctic, I want to do that with the Mercury in the sable. That's my.
Does that triple have a name?
No one's made it. No one's made a Mercury.
You think it'll
Mercury Sable? It's kind of funny. The car. Mercury Sable. Yeah.
GMC Ford dealership. Is Mercury still in business as a car brand? It's gotta be out, right?
I don't think they're in business anymore.
So do you have triples for that yet?
No. I've got a sable female that's about to get kicked out of the herd. We're going again to a different girl next year that is Arctic as well. So the Mercury to sable Arctic. So
okay, cool. Yeah,
we'll go for that and then take 12 years to make the triple plus Arctic
this year, because I don't know, the market's weird. I was gonna make like pos triples basically and just be like, whatever, I'll just keep them because why not? Because I have like a sable pos head Xanthic male and a Conda pos whatever female, so she wouldn't be ready, but the male would be, so I could just breed her to my breed him to the lavender stuff and just keep the triples and just be like, whatever. 3 years from now I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I started doing that. I was making pos heads back in the day and keep the whole clutch, breed them back to each other. Absolutely.
Do you think baby Mercuries are great that have the cool tone thing too? I'm assuming.
Yes, they do.
Versus lavenders.
They do, and they change a lot too, just like lavenders change. They don't look. A baby Mercury does not look like an adult Mercury, really
What
at
does
all.
a baby look like? More
More of a
gray?
blue gray, almost like a slate at
Mm.
times. And then as it's growing, it when I was watching mine grow, the male that I used, it was like blue for the longest time. I didn't really think it was purple. Then all of a sudden, it like became an adult, and I'm like, those saddles are pretty close to purple. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
talking about natural colors, so they're not quite purple, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's a
I
great
like
background.
lavender. Anything really? It's like another form of blue. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. Which is a form of gray.
Right.
How do you think? Do you think you'll be able to identify a Mercury versus an Arctic Mercury, or have you already have those and you're not?
I don't have those. It could be tricky. It could be tricky. I'm sure it will be. Again, I think sheds. I think you keep them a couple of sheds and they'll reveal themselves. That's really the best advice. If you're not sure about an Arctic, just keep feeding it, let it shut off again.
Yeah, I've been like, I'm like, it depends on like if shows get better or consistent or whatever. I'm just gonna start treating Arctic like a recessive, like breed a double homozygote to a heterozygote, and then I just know, and I don't have to guess anymore.
It kind of is. It kind of is. It's yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun though.
Oh my god, can I like ask you something spicy? They were recently posted a scaleless California king snake just hatched, and everyone's like, congratulations, and I'm like, no. And then which brings up the topic. If someone makes a scaleless hognose, are they a bad person? If they propagate it,
they're definitely a bad person. No,
you
they're not a bad
little limp nosed.
There would be that's not going to work.
And it can't dig right. Oh my god,
that would be awful. That's one snake that definitely should be scaleless. Maybe none of them should be. I don't know. I have some scaleless corns. I don't know. I don't know what I feel about those.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, they're kind of cool in some sort of like very specific way, and then I'll see like one like apocalyptically bad looking one, and I'm like, like when the couple of mutant scales on the head make it look like it has spider eyes because they're like big and luminous, and I'm like, we have done fucked up. We have made choices that have led us to a bad place, and we have spider snakes now.
Yeah, I hear that. I let me ask you this. I laugh because the palmetto thing with the eyes, people get very upset with the eyes.
Yeah, me.
And I'm just like, we have scaleless corns that aren't even they're hybrids, and we're mad about some bulgy eyes on a Lucy. Like,
I'm mad about both of them.
Relax. I like the bulgy eyes. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think they look cute.
Brother, you're killing me. Like it'd be okay if it was like a balanced eye, but sometimes one eye is like tilted down, and so they're also like
they do look a little funny. Kind of being facetious there, but
please. Yeah, I know I'm wrong because the market is the better determiner of whether or not something is desirable, you know. But I don't want to keep any of them. So that's the only thing that really matters materially.
Yeah, and you don't have to.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I'm good.
I'll keep all the bulgy eyes to myself.
Yeah, keep those bulges to yourself, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an accident. It was a spontaneous mutation, hypothetically, in his clutch. And I was like, but I was just like, we got another one. Dang.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a thing.
Which is like when the Hognose one comes out, somebody's gonna want to do it, and I'm like, no, it's gonna look horrific. Sorry.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about Pennsylvania shows. Which ones? Okay, first, do you think your region suffers from too many shows, too small, not important, and not a lot of effort put into any one show? Do you think it has that problem? Which is the problem I have here, sort of?
There's some good shows that are put on by great promoters that do well. There's too many. Let's just be honest. There is too many. I'm kind of torn on that though, because the more shows mean there's more interest in reptiles, like, because people are coming to these shows. They may not be spending a lot of money, but they're coming. So there's more people that are interested in what I want to sell. So that's good. But it also feels like I'm having to do more work for the same amount of revenue. So it's kind of, I'm torn on that. As far as important shows, I don't know. You know what an important show is? Important show is one that I go there and I make some money. Like, I don't need to be part of the cool kids club. As far as the bigger shows and stuff, eventually maybe I'll get there, but I'm fine peddling my snakes wherever.
Would you like to try an important show? Sometimes like you're not that important because you're like lost in the sea of other better people. But like sometimes I'm like, but then like you're, I don't know, participating in the industry at a level that makes your, like, I don't know. Like I take court stakes to a show with 10,000 people, and I'm like, guess what? Court snakes aren't just scaleless and palmetto. They're also gray snakes.
Right.
So I'm like influencing, hypothetically, some people be like, hey, or whatever, you're like Mercury or whatever. It's the double recessive people aren't working on that much, but it's like the key to other whatever.
Right.
What do you think about that? As a reason to do a bigger show?
That to me, that's the only reason to really do a bigger show, especially as a smaller breeder, because you're not, most smaller breeders that are going to these bigger shows aren't making money. Let's be honest. In fact, they're losing money.
Very hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we discussed, that's not really, I struggle to go somewhere where I know I'm going to lose money. Like, it's just that bothers me as a business. Like, but I see what you're saying though, and that's what people will tell you. You got to go there and network and get their projects out and this and that, and the other thing. So I guess eventually I'll get there. I've done this slow. The whole way through was slow. So
what do you think is the best show right now in Pennsylvania?
Best show in Pennsylvania?
It could be like all around, or sales, or vibe, or both, or any of those.
Gettysburg has the best breeders. Like, they get people from all over. Everybody knows about Gettysburg. I do really well at the Mid-Atlantic shows. That's real local to me. That's like a half-hour drive.
Do the Inwood one?
The Inwood one. No, Mid-Atlantic. So that's one. They have Carlisle, Lebanon. They have North Carolina, and Virginia.
Yeah, the Inwood one, I think, was whoever does the Hagerstown Frederick one. Who's that?
Wow. That's Larry? Are you talking about Larry?
I don't know. I was just like, why the fuck is there a show in Inwood?
All right.
Funwood, West Virginia. I don't think so. There's like 5 people there.
Oh, you're talking about Four-State. Yes. I did not do that. The Inwood show.
I thought about vending it just to be obnoxious, because I was like, I went to Musselman in high school, which is like right there. I'm like, this is a tea, and people just the entertainment in Inwood is parking your truck at the Food Lion at night after it closes and just yelling at cars passing by. That's
they've gone out of business. So they
the
don't.
Food Lion? Oh no,
not the Food Lion. The show. They're done.
You almost broke my heart. How many classic Food Lion nights were there? No, sorry. So the Mid-Atlantic show circuit's gone out of business? Or sorry, the Four-State.
The Four-State is gone, yes. Yeah, they're done.
Did somebody else like to pick up Frederick or Hagerstown? Frederick makes more sense. There's more people in Frederick, Maryland.
Yeah, there's some decent Maryland shows. They Have a Day Grace I used to do. I don't do it anymore though. And Hamburg, I do Hamburg. It's not old Hamburg, but it's still good. A lot of people still showing up there.
What are do you know? I don't know if you might not know, but what are the average doors to these Pennsylvania shows? Like 2,000 people, 2,500,
Yeah,
1,500.
you're looking in the 2,000 range for the good shows. Sometimes that Carlisle show is done 4,000 sometimes in the spring, which is a lot of people in that for that little show. I don't want to say little; it's like mid-sized. So yeah, most of these shows that I'm doing are a couple thousand through the door. So, which ain't
Right.
bad.
They're basically like a herp show or a show me show that's doing well is like a 2,000 door. They're like
Yeah.
still kind of a little show technically.
Yeah. And Gettysburg brings in, I don't know what their door numbers are, but they bring in a lot of people different times of the year. I would say
They do it 3 times a year or twice a year?
three times a year. And the spring show, I would say they're I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000. It's a big building. So and it gets packed. So
do you think there should be a premium show or whatever in the Northeast, which would probably put it in Pennsylvania because of state law reasons?
that would be the place to put it. Yeah, you can do whatever you want here.
Right.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'd say that very selfishly.
Right. It seems weird. Like it's the highest density of people in the country.
Yeah.
Little states, very close cities, huge cities, very close together. So if you wanted one where people would drive 4 or 5 hours to one really big show, you could do a 15,000 person show, hypothetically.
Oh yeah, you get close to Philadelphia. Yeah. You get the New Jersey crowd and everything.
Yeah. And like New York and DC are 4 hours apart by car. So if you put it in between on that side of PA, you would have like 10 cities worth of people within 4 hours that could drive there.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Let's do it.
I've always been like, yeah, of course there should be a show there. But then the RBC tried to do, God, was it Bethesda? Where was it? It was somewhere in the DC metro area a long time ago.
Okay.
And it flopped. It was a flopperino.
Okay. Yeah, DC, that's tough. That's tough to get to. The traffic, even getting around that area is not fun, let alone trying to get into it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to do a convention in DC, but in like, I don't know, outside of the Beltway, but like on 70 or 66 or fuck 95. Never mind, not that side.
Absolutely.
The other two. Oh, sorry. Biased. I used to like live in Manassas, so I would do anything I could to go around, and eventually was like a bypass like around everything, so you could get to 95, like in like Stafford, Virginia, where no, not for me, dog.
Not at all.
Yeah, but I've heard they have no current ambition. But I think if you seduced Troy and Nick from AARP, they could put a show further north. Like they picked North Carolina, and I was like, could be okay. But Pennsylvania, could be different. Could be transcendental. Who knows?
Maybe they should just start moving that show around a little bit, like every year.
Right. Well, they have a Kansas one now, and they have that one, and I'm like, okay, cool. But it could even be like weird, like Wilkes-Barre or something. Like a little further north too, if they needed like a cheaper convention center.
I'm with you.
All right, good. So you've been Maryland shows, Pennsylvania shows. Is that it? Do you ever go further afield? Well, you said they were doing North Carolina.
North Carolina. I used to do a lot of New York shows. I got tired of the drive. I might start going back though. There's good money to be made up there. And we did show me last year down there in Virginia Beach. Did not enjoy the drive. Didn't go back.
Your makeup for the drive, was it like a fun venue?
It was a fun venue, but I felt like everyone was there on vacation and nobody's going to buy a snake on vacation. That's what I felt like. And that's what my sales reflected.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? Like, were there any like people who did like art or or plants, are people more likely to buy,
Yes.
or a little print of a gecko than a snake on vacation? Was it like
Yes.
that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
great venue, great, like fun time. But I'm like, this is, again, I don't want to go to a show where it's like, you
No,
break
me
even. Like, why am I going?
How many times do you give a show a chance if it's kind of near you before you make a decision about that show's
If it's near me, I'll give it four shows. If it's
or
near
shows?
me, yeah, 4 or 5, maybe even. And just kind of, because you got to gauge who's coming, what kind of sales, because you can get a weird couple of sales and have an awesome day, or you can miss those weird sales, and so you got to
Right.
kind of get a overview.
Would you rather have a show that has 20 $200 snake shells or a rare $2,000 snake, but it's not every time? Wouldn't you, for me, I'm like, I would rather consistently sell less, but know I'm going to move more animals for the effort of going there than to
It's
have that rare one-off like whale buyer that comes in.
right. I actually, it's funny you said, this last Hamburg show, sold 3 snakes and came home with 2 grams. And it's just like, well, it's a good show, but I didn't really do much. Like, I was bored.
Right.
Like, and one of those snakes was $100. So like, it all came from 3 sales. I'd rather be busy because I have a lot of stuff that is not $20. I don't want to sell anything for $20 except naked rats.
Mhm.
But I'd rather be busy, and I produce a lot of stuff in that 150 corn snake to
Mhm.
350, 400. We're getting into the hognoses in that range and ball pythons. So I want to, move animals out. So I'd rather sell 10 snakes and make the money rather than sell 2 and make the money. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I just like sometimes people are like, yeah, I keep bringing only this nice stuff to the show, and I come every time, and I'm just waiting for that one good sale, which makes up for it. I'm like,
It's a weird strategy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's okay to bring some of those as like a show off piece, and if that person
Mhm.
is there, but you're really there to sell snakes, not, I don't
Yeah.
know, just show off. It's very weird. So like
Yeah.
volume is part of my calculation of something's good. Even if I technically made enough money, I'm like,
Right.
it
How many
wasn't a good
times?
show.
Yeah. How many times are you going to get that one sale? And
Right,
there's
because then it
there's
might be, like, rare in that market.
yes.
Yeah.
And there's the other person that you the vendor that has maybe $500 sitting on their table, and they're wondering why they're not making any money. And I don't, it's like, how did you could sell everything and you wouldn't cover
Cover your
your
expenses.
costs? So what I don't understand. I don't understand. You just do math. Like, you can't.
Yeah, how much okay, here's, like, a question. I think it's hard now to figure it out, but I think about it every day, is what dollar amount of inventory should go to a show in general? And then, like, 'cause sometimes I'm like, "You really need to bring $20,000 worth of inventory to sell 5 in this market because most of your table won't sell."
Mhm.
So if you only bring 10, you're expecting maybe 2 if it's good, but then, like, you're
Mhm.
missing, like, because you can't, like, touch as many potential customer interests because you didn't bring enough, right? And then people are like, "Well, I just bring whatever I have." And I'm like, "That's fine. You just need to sell your snakes." But I have enough snakes that I can bring 4,000 corn snakes or whatever, a mix, pairs of each, rare stuff only, ball pythons only, boas only, and I'm like,
Right.
"Okay, I need to decide." But I do know I feel like I need $15,000 worth of inventory most of the time.
Yeah.
What do you think about that theory?
I always figure if I have a half decent show, I'm gonna sell 10% of what I bring. That's a decent show. 10%. That's quota. So yeah, you want to bring at least, if you can, at least 20,000, but you don't want it to be in 3 snakes and then a bunch of $25 snakes.
Right.
So
There
you
has to be
got
like a
to
spectrum.
stepping stones. Exactly. And I try to bring like expensive hognoses. Don't really expect to sell them, but I'm bringing them to try to sell the parts to get the breeder, the baby breeder, or the breeder, maybe another vendor. He gets to see the mercury. Hey, I got the parts. You can make this for half of what that animal will cost you. I think that's a good strategy. It's always worked well for me.
Do you think people should go wider? Like even if they could fit $20,000 worth of inventory on 2 tables, do you think they should get an end cap just to, I don't know, have more space to like more chances to show product, more touching, more real estate, more signage? What do you think about that?
Yes. The more tables you have, the better. And then, I mean, you don't want to overbuy and not have enough for your table, but you do better with more because people can walk around, they can get around, they don't miss you. Like sometimes, especially one table, people just want to walk right by you. These bigger shows, like that have all these breeders, like a Gettysburg that has all these breeders. You have one table, people are just gonna walk by. They're not gonna see.
Yes.
So yeah, end caps. More tables I've had, better. I do.
Right. It's something I struggle with because you need to like watch all of those tables and be able to, if you're checking out one customer here, at least make eye contact with the customer way the hell over in fucking the zip code over here. So more people would be better. But
yes. My wife helped me, so that helps a lot. Couldn't do it without her.
Yeah. I just feel like I think I get it now. Even if like the extra table just has like cocoa or something on it, it just is more real estate that you're able to interact with people on, slow them down, and have them look at your snakes as they come around the corner or whatever.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
They can find you back, like they could get back to you. Sometimes they can't find you again.
Right. It's brutal. Sweet little baby breeders.
It is. I remember being one table and it was rough sometimes. It was like I'm usually a 2 table right now. I do end caps when I can get them in the right area for the right show. I'll get end caps. I think probably next year I'll probably try to get end caps everywhere. I should have enough inventory to always be able to fill it nicely.
Yeah, I started out with 2 tables and always had 2. So it'd be like, I don't know, a ball python display, 2 colibri displays, and a boa display, or some sort of variant of that. Like now I'm like, even if that's how many snakes you have, you probably should have more an end cap just to look bigger.
Yeah. I wish some of these promoters would do like the half end caps more too. I'd like an L better than a line.
Oh yeah, corners are awesome because it feels kind of bougie, even though it's the same as a 2 table.
Yeah, and that corner gives you a way to put displays out that I think looks nicer.
Yeah, I got a corner at Dallas. That's like, I wonder if I should get an end cap though. Now I'm like, but there it's really expensive. So
you got
to sell a lot of corn snakes.
You got to sell a lot of corn snakes. Yes, you do. Yeah, I was looking at what's the I can't think of the name now. The other Tinley. What's the
Schomburg?
Schomburg. I was looking at tables for there, and I just didn't have the animals this year. I'm hoping I'll sign up next year for that one.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes. I'm always like, so like in some markets, some snakes I think are overdone, or they were or lizards, whatever. They were like historically overdone. So you could bring a species there. You're like, no one has vended X here in 10 years, and they just don't even want it. Really, that's why nobody's vended it. You don't know that till you do it. So I'm like, does Chicago care about corn snakes? Maybe, but probably not. It just feels like an old market, a mature market.
It is. I like it though because it's basically all pet buyers, and I like selling to pet buyers.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not going to be my competition in 2 years, and they're happy. They get their pet. They're excited about it. And we move, move
Yeah, have you
on.
looked into getting the permit to sell hogs in Illinois?
I did. It's not that
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, I
Mm.
looked at it. It's just I think it was it $25 or $50 or something, and I just send it to you for the week or however many days you will be there.
Yeah, you need a vet certificate too.
Yes. Don't they do that at the show though? Don't they have a vet at the show that does the?
I
I thought
they used to. I don't know if they still do.
They better. That'd be.
Well, there's the vet certificate for like health for import, and I think there's another one for natives, like that you.
Mhm.
It's another one. Am I making that up?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, ugh. Like if I was in your area, I don't know if I would do Tinley. I might just drive them down to the AARPE or something, because like
Okay.
it's also a big show, but no permit required. Your clientele doesn't need a permit. You're just like free for all, Hognose.
Well, that's true. I guess they would need a permit as well. I didn't even think about that. They live in
If they're locals, they can't even buy, I think.
I think they can get
Without
it.
a
Can't they
permit
get a
already.
permit? Without a permit, yeah.
So if they're out of state, you could sell it to them, and you have to write down your logbook that they're going to take it out of state.
Right.
Have you thought about Dallas? It's becoming the new Hognose Central.
Dallas, maybe that's
far away though.
That's a far trip. That's a heck of a. I'd have to hire people to take care of everything here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of asking friends to come over. But yeah, I think that's a bit far.
There's a lot of
I don't know
boys.
how some of these people get away sometimes.
Yeah, like, a bunch of them came up from Florida this last spring, and I'm like, I know like some of the ball python people do it, but I'm like, there are a bunch of hognose people. Clover was there, and I'm like, is this fun to drive that far? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But because like all the other like weird species were banned, not banned, they're just not allowed to be sold. They can only be displayed in Dallas.
Right.
It's I think it's going to be a colubrid show. That's my feelings.
It probably will be. They keep it there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like there's a ton of hogs there this time again. Because everyone else like ran away, obviously. They don't want to do a show they can't foresee a way to make money at. Which is fine, right?
Yeah, I'm with them on that.
A+, good idea.
Yes, if you want to run a business, maybe you make money. I don't know.
Yeah. Would you ever do Daytona? I know that one's also far away, but
I don't think so.
No.
All the stories I get here from there about the price being dropped, like why would I spend all that money to go there and sell my animals for nothing?
Right. That's one where it seems like it's like ultimate competition, colubrid wise, because it's like the oldest old market of all. And so I would go, I'm like, I would fly down there to buy.
Yeah. I have friends that are there right now. They went early,
right,
out on the beach, hanging out, but yeah, I would never go there to sell. That just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I had somebody contact me from on Morph Market, and they were trying to get me to like compete with Daytona pricing, and I'm like, I'm not there. I'm like, I don't.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Like, can you do better? I'm going to Daytona. I'll be able to get it for this. I'm like, have fun. Like,
I know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I should make like a video of it. Like, hey, do you know that like time restrained and event restrained pricing is different than list pricing?
Right.
Like it seems obvious, but it's not actually that obvious to people.
I just sell to a wholesaler if I'm gonna give them away.
Right.
Yeah. Then I don't have to go there. No plane rides.
Do you ever wholesale corn snakes?
Nobody really wants them.
Nope.
I had some pet stores that were buying them. That was 2020 stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I got one wholesaler that will sometimes buy some from me, and he actually will pay me decently for a corn snake, but nobody really wants them. So I try to limit myself. I try to make sure I'm not making too many corn snakes because I know I'm gonna have to sell them.
Mm-hmm. It is weird. Like in the states where hognoses are illegal, obviously it's easier to wholesale corn snakes to pet stores in those states because that's like the easiest substitute.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to a guy, that had a pet store in Texas, and he's like, I used to do corn snakes, but my custom cages I sell my snakes out of, they can escape from. So I never buy little rat snakes anymore, any like semi-arboreal snakes, because they're just too sneaky. And I'm like, well, that's your fault, brother. That's not the snake's fault. Get a better display.
Right? They are good at escaping, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I think that's like their number one fault. A baby corn snake.
Yeah.
It's a little sneaky little shit.
I shipped one out last week, and it was gone in 2 hours. The guy messaged me, how do I catch this?
Oh my god! Are you serious?
Yeah, he left me a nice review, and then like 2 hours later, I get the email.
Did he put it in a Exoterra or something?
I believe so. He didn't get into it too much. I told him some techniques to catch it. I was like, the sticky traps, just keep checking them. Like when they're that small, I think that's really the only way you're going to catch them, unless it's just random. We just have to check them. Like you don't leave them there for very long.
Sometimes that's why, I think I unconsciously hate Exoterras or whatever, because they don't believe you. I'm like, put silicone in every hole and it'll be fine. And they're like, why would I do that? I'm like, you can't imagine how squished a little corn snake head can get, and it's fine. It fully recovered after being 1/8 of an inch smushed. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, just silicone the whole thing. Just slap it. Just fill it in.
Yep.
And then peel it out later when the snake is big enough. But
yeah.
They don't believe you. It's wild.
Yeah. And the corners of like 10 gallons, the lids sometimes have that open gap. And they'll go,
Right. The slidey ones that they can't get out of.
That's what I always tell people to get the slidey lids. As long as you close it.
Right. I think they just don't believe you. Have you ever think of that?
Yeah.
They're like, there's no way.
Yeah, they absolutely don't. And then they're calling you, how do I catch it? I'm like, good luck. Yeah.
Right. Especially if the snake gets in your walls, like it's gonna leave. It's gonna go bye-bye down in your basement or something and leave. And I don't think people get that either. Like a ball python, it gets cold, it stops. It will crawl in the back of another rack somewhere and warm up. Corn snake's gone. It's already feral.
It's already feral. You're absolutely right. I catch like hognose. Is actually my cat caught another hognose today. I catch them, but the corn snakes that get out here, I almost never find those.
No, they're gone, living their best life. Yeah,
That's
I would love to get Jennifer wants to go to Daytona. I want to go too. It's just one of those things. Like if it's only a buying trip, it has to be like funded by a string of fantastic shows, and I fly down. Which shows have been so I've like had gross revenue this year. It shows is better than it's ever been.
Nice,
but I feel like I'm fighting harder for each dollar than ever before.
Yeah.
Like going further afield, different products, more stuff, more inventory, bigger tables, bigger end caps. So that's what I mean. Like the gross revenue's up, but like the margins, they're not the same, but they're like, it feels kind of like that. Is that crazy?
No, that's and and if you keep getting your gross revenue up, even though your margin percentage might go down, what you're actually profiting should go up. If the maths.
Please, baby Jesus, make it
you know what I mean? Like 50% of a bigger pie is better than 75% of a smaller pie.
Right. That's what I think. Even though I'm not ready yet, I'm like, I bet if you had an employee, obviously the cost is a lot, right? But I bet you could gross more total because you could send them to a show or whatever, have them proxy the show. You stay home, work on computers, more pictures, better pictures, update pictures, send a picture, whatever. And so then you're not splitting your time as hard.
What do you
think of that? What do you think of that? And then
the gross revenue goes up. I think the opposite. I think the opposite. I think because people buy off of people want to buy off of you. They don't want to buy off your employee. But an employee at home making ads. Oh, I absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's send an employee at home.
employee at home doing the pictures and stuff. Yeah, if you had enough revenue to actually have
you would need enough inventory to actually like production wise, but that's when I'm like, oh yeah, it would obviously cost a lot to pay someone 20 hours a week of labor, whatever, like part-time,
right?
But then I feel like the gross would go way up because you could actually hustle more shows or more whatever because you're not thinking about the stuff you're missing out on at home.
Yeah. You're not washing rat tubs and whatever. Yeah, that's all we do is wash tubs.
The greatest sin of my life is the judgmental tub of unwashed tubs is like waiting for me to do the dishes for the last. I do some of them, but then I'm like, oh, those are like a tub swap stack. It's just judging me.
Yeah.
I'll wash the dishes, but I'm ignoring because I have enough extra tubs, but then that's its own trap, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's all I do. I just wash tubs. Just wash tubs. Pay taxes. That's all I do.
Right. See, that's like it's labor that's fine and fun, but I'm like, that's something I feel like would be easy to pay somebody, even on a per tub basis.
Yeah.
While all that time back, and even take 2 extra rounds of pictures of snakes, sell them 2 months sooner, and actually make all the money back instead of feeding those snakes.
I agree with you on that one, but I do think people buy off of people. I don't think you can skip shows.
Well, I've seen some Hognose people who do proxies, not Hognose, crested gecko people who do proxies, and I'm like, yeah, they're definitely buying the brand, like the guy,
right?
But some pet people don't care who you are, and they don't know. You know what I mean? So they just want a happy snow conda, and it's cute.
Yeah, that's true. You would still make some sales, but I think you would miss out on sales.
Yeah.
No one's going to care about your business like you're going to care about it. No one's going to sell like you're going to sell.
What if they're like a hot, young person, male or female? They're just really attractive and fun and interesting. I feel like you might do pretty good sales-wise. What about that? What if they have
maybe.
What if they have cat ears?
Maybe. I think actually you might intimidate some people now that want to come up to talk to a very attractive person. That's a thing. But maybe that's definitely that's like old school. You get the girl behind the table at these these shows. I think half dressed.
I think it works.
I think it works with some people. I think yeah. I think it turns off some people though.
Families.
Families
well, they can be tastefully dressed. I'm just saying maybe add cat ears or some specific kink. I'm kidding.
A little tail.
Yeah, I've seen tails. I've already seen tails at shows.
Oh, I see tails all the time.
Yeah, you know that there's somebody's pet, and there's probably a butt plug in there somewhere. I already know these things. It's fine. It's nature. It's the way it's got to go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh man.
Got weird at the end, so
that happens.
Okay. You started in ball pythons. You're still breeding ball pythons though, right? Yeah,
I do. I think I got 6-7 clutches this year. That's basically what I do. Pretty pied stuff, banana stuff. I work True Ghost, again, gray snakes. That's my jam. That's my fun thing that I do with the ball pythons. Trying to get blackhead into that this year.
So you still have some project type projects, but just it's not like dominating your whole life.
Yeah, it's pretty much True Ghost and make some pretty snakes for the table. That's pretty much what it is.
Are you able to sell ball pythons on Morph Market currently, or do you not even bother? You just take them to shows because it's not worth competing against a lot of them?
No, I don't know. I'd probably sell like 1 ball python a year on Morph Market. I don't put a ton on there because most of my stuff is, there's 4,800 of them listed. And then nobody knows me for ball pythons. So like True Ghost stuff I'd put on there if I ever start making stuff. I hold back everything that the good stuff. So no, I don't. No, not at all. I think I think I sold 1 last year on Morph Market.
Yeah, I've sold some last year and some this year, but I'm like trying to figure out if like the ROI for certain kinds of snakes on Morph Market isn't worth it. Then some people are like, you should put all your inventory up there because it's more touches. But I'm like, certain kinds of inquiries, certain kind of price points and animals just get inquiries that are not that productive. Like you might only get 10 to 1, and other ones are like very productive. And you're like, okay. So like I could sell those at a show instead of having to field 10 to 15 inquiries that aren't going to result in a sale, or just take it to 5 shows and hopefully sell it at one of them.
Right. Yeah. I don't like to put something on Morph Market. It's not at least $100, even a corn snake. And some of them I don't think they're even. I'm probably too high at $100, but I'm going to put it on there. That's what the price is going to be.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Because some corn snakes, like I'd be happy to get 50, but I'm not happy to drive to the hub and ship it to you for 50 plus shipping.
And then you got your gas, you get your box, you get your cryo pack, you get this, that, and all of a sudden you're negative.
So, do people buy like common snakes though on Morph Market that are priced high just because it's being shipped?
Occasionally,
sometimes
I've gotten some. Like some Anery stuff, Anery Motleys and stuff on Morph Market. I put it $100. I sold a couple of them. If they don't sell, it's only a couple of pictures, whatever, But actually, corn snakes have been selling really well this month. See, the last 3-4 weeks, they've been flying off the shelf. Just
I
just
need to get the new ones photographed.
Yeah, get them on there. They're just every day I'm getting inquiries and shipping out a couple a week. That's good for corn snakes. A couple of weeks, great.
Oh my god! So the I-80 tubs were sold out for a long time. So I was like late getting the right amount, and so then I was putting them in like food service to go containers. That sucks the life right out of me. I know some people are like, I prefer them. I'm like, I do not prefer them. I'm like, you have to like finger bang the lid to get it off every time, and you're like trying to make sure it's snapped back on right, and you're dribbling, and then the snake falls out. I don't know how people do their whole collection with takeout containers.
Yes. Yes, I've had this discussion with a couple corn snake guys. Like, how do you do this? Why do you do this?
I bought 3 I-10 racks at the 10 level. 3 of them. And I better not run out of space.
I've currently got 9 of them, 10 of them.
Very good. Yeah, because I have sea serpents, and I think they're better. They're tighter. What do you think of that theory? I just think they are. I think it's because they're narrower.
They're narrower, so you get some bending with the ones that are 6 across. I have some levels that I have to shim slightly. Overall, I like them because of the amount of room that they're taking up. It feels more efficient. So if I got to shim one layer, I have to shim one layer.
Yeah, normally I put like bigger stuff or hogs or leopard geckos or whatever in the Vision one or Vision VE ones, but they are the more cost effective on a per unit basis versus sea serpents, even though his I think are technically better, tighter. I have both. I just like if your system starts to fall apart with these stupid takeout containers, it's like it slows everything else down. So there's no pictures being taken because there's takeout containers stacked in my light box currently. And then when you give them a food item they don't want it, you're like, okay, I'll offer boiled. Wrong. You got to finger bang the lid again to open it up. It's not like fast. And so take it out, close it again, a little bit of water. Wrong. Take it out, but finger bang again. It's the worst. Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it.
It's a waste of time. If you have hundreds of snakes, you're wasting hours.
I know people all they like to do, and I like the better one is like the 6-inch or like the pie-sized delis because they actually they snap on and off in a coherent way, like what a human would want to do. So like if you're gonna do it, but then they're a circle and not a square, so they're not like space efficient.
Yeah.
I don't know, $1,300 later, I've bought 3 new VE racks to stop the menace, and then I'll be able to take pictures.
There you go.
Thank God.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, now I'm just like pitching, but I'm so glad they're in stock. Like Banana sent me messages, they're in stock. I'm like, oh, thank God, save me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everyone was waiting on those things.
Yeah, I should have bought more early, but I just didn't. I was wrong. I was wrong. Right? I just messed
I
that
bought
part
mine
up.
all in January and February. I just kept buying them every couple of weeks. Just get some more scent, get them together, stack them.
How many
Yeah.
hognoses, like as a percent, like what's the percent of hognose babies versus baby file snakes versus baby corn snakes versus baby whatever's that would be using the I-80 series tubs?
So I currently use the I-80, the little ones for hognose. My corn snakes, I actually have homemade racks that I still use, and they're little Walmart. I don't know if they're sandwich things or whatever, but they got a little handle on them. I made them years and years ago. They still work great, so I keep them. There's no heat on them or anything, and that's where majority of my corn snakes are. Except problem feeders, I'll put in with heat in the smaller bins. So 100% of the hog noses and basically 0% of the corn snakes. File snakes are in the wider, because they come out big in the wider VE tubs.
Like the I-180
Yes.
or 180.
160.
160.
I-60.
I can't mouth.
Whatever.
We're so struggling.
But they come out quite big, like a even bigger than most king snakes come out. So
Oh, that's
they
good.
need
What are they?
more.
A large pinky at birth or
Yeah, a decent sized pinky live. They like live. They're like an African king snake basically. They want the live. They come out big. A lot of times they won't eat it first, but they're so big. I think they just get a lot of a yolk, and they just don't need it.
Are you able to sell those at shows, or are people like, ew? And then it's like an online only species because it's too rare and people don't know what it is.
I sold them at shows, not a lot. I definitely
Okay.
have though, and I get a lot of interest in them. And a lot of times, like they'll come back like 3 shows later and buy them that way. But the majority of them are going online for sure. They sell pretty decently though. Like,
yeah, I mean they're cool looking.
much.
I think somebody who wants it really wants it and will go online and buy it.
Yeah, and they're completely different than the wild caught. Like, they're not the same animal as far as I can tell. They don't look the same. Like they're just. It's a big difference, I guess is what I'm saying.
Do you need to scent it for babies, or they're okay with live pinkies?
Live pinkies generally. I do use some of the hognose scents for some of the problem ones.
What do they like the best, do you think?
Toad works.
Toad?
I used that this year. I had a couple that just wouldn't eat for the longest time, and I tried toad, and they took one toad, and then they went to live, and now they're on frozen.
Do you get your own? I was going to say eat your own toad, and that was not right.
Yeah, I catch my own toads. Yes.
Okay, good. Do you have any like tips? Do you like puree the whole thing, take the gland out, just do the leg, take a skin graft? What's your strat on that one?
I just puree the whole thing. It's frozen for like, I have some in there for like 2 years. Like, I'm paranoid about the whatever's going on in the toad. So I freeze them for a long time. And then, I just puree them with some water, and I just try to dip the littlest bit because I just don't like the thought of that. But for the hog noses, real stubborn ones, the toad, that's how you get them.
Do you think they can tell the difference between like Fowler's toad and American toad, spadefoot toad?
I don't know. I've never tried. I've only ever had the Eastern toad, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you should be in Pennsylvania. I don't know how far north does Fowler's toad go. Yeah, I've always wondered if hognoses need toad toxin for some reason. Isn't that weird? I know they don't, but like maybe they do. Maybe like it. my understanding is they do not sequester like bufotoxin anywhere in their body, so they don't use it for their
Mhm.
own salivary glands. But maybe there's something about it because it's such they're so weird. Their little metabolisms are so weird. They're supposed to be dosed over and over again with a horrific toxin, and then I'm like, maybe they need a little bit of bufotoxin in their life. And then I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on
Maybe.
that?
That could be, yeah, because sometimes you have, that you have issues with longevity with the hognoses sometimes, at least compared to other Klugers. I don't know. That might have something to do with it. Maybe they just don't live as long as we think they do, or other species do. I do the tricolors too. They really don't live very long.
So I have tricolors now. I've been disturbed how fast they grow.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I try to feed them slow on purpose because I don't want them to die next year or whatever. You know what I mean? By
Doesn't
slow,
matter,
I mean
though.
like twice a week, a pinky and then a piece of salmon. And that's what I've been
Yeah.
switching between.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, y'all are fat, big as shit on
Oh, yeah.
air. They're like air plant snakes. I feel like I'm not feeding them that much. A Western would not grow that fast to me. Do you have any?
Mhm.
The mine are
It has
dead. Mine are already dead.
It has to be the fact that they're not going to live that long. That has
Right?
to be part of it. So they have to get big enough to breed quick. Because at least in captivity, you're only going to get a few years of breeding out of female. That's just. I don't know
What
if
if
that
we
makes people
fed them
sad, but that's what
more
happens.
reptilinks and fish and less pinkies, rodents? Do you think? Some people like that's their theory, and I'm like, these fuckers are growing so fast anyway. I'm like, I don't even know if they would slow them down.
You would have to have a control group to
Mhm.
figure that out. And I don't know if there's any really like natural toxicology, like people going out there and figuring out how long they're living in the wild. Like it could just be
Yeah,
a species that doesn't live very long.
right.
Like maybe
Well,
they
I've
live a little longer, but
heard of animals living into their late teens, early 20s in captivity if they were fed very moderately, and I'm like, how moderately though, bro? Like, I don't know.
once
And
once a year,
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Or like,
I,
should we be forcing them to be cooled down harder than they would naturally?
maybe
You
I
know?
wouldn't. I would think you're going to lose them. I would. I've known people that have cooled them like westerns that they didn't do
They
well.
died. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're from South America. They're really not getting that cool. Like they'll get cool, but
Yeah,
you can't-
it could be fine. It makes me like wonder like if they'll have that great of a market. Like I get that like you can't sit on females and like bulk breed the same female the rest of your life, but she will
Mhm,
make 70 babies and then
mhm,
a year and then
mhm.
expire in 3 years. And then you're like, is that good? Is that good for the market to have a species that acts like that, or is that bad?
It's not ideal.
Like,
I
do
think
pet
it's
people
not
want that out of a species? Do they want turn and burn
some.
pet?
I've always sold them pretty decently. I haven't had them in a while because I had a female that unexpectedly died, and I didn't have enough to another one to replace it because they make so many. I don't want more than one female going a year. Like that's plenty of
Mhm.
of tricolors. So some people have they'll ask you how I think these don't live very long. Like yeah, they only live maybe 6-7 years. And some people are turned off by that, but some people seem to like them too. So and some people like a pet that doesn't live very long, I guess.
Right, you get
Like
hamster.
fish or whatever, hamster.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It to me, it would be in some ways it's better than having a snake that lives 40 years or 30 years, and like then your
Mhm.
kid is disinterested obviously by year 2, and then you have to magically be interested for the next 28 years
Yeah.
for your child. So like it seems more ethical, but then people are very like, it's not gonna live forever. I'm like, I know. it you would think they would be better, but people have been very like reticent, and I'm like,
People are weird.
yeah,
It's just gonna escape their exit there anyway, so
yeah.
it's all mute anyway. It's a mute point.
My problem with them, and it's not a huge problem because everything's a problem really, is like they're kind of herky jerky. So when you hand them to somebody, it's not even like corn snakes are wiggly, hognoses are derpy, and tricolors are herky jerky.
They're very
That is
odd.
very spasmodic movements when you pick
Uh-huh.
them up when they're not happy to be there. And I think
Yeah, it's odd sometimes, and it'll just jerk and then jump off, and we're chasing it on the table, and yeah, and then sometimes I can get them out and I can just sit them on top of the display case, and they'll do a couple of those, and then they stop. And they'll just sit there. And they'll just sit there for the longest time. They won't move.
you know that like meme song. It's like more passion, more
Yeah,
energy. That's what I think of every time I hold them because they're like.
Yeah, that's exactly
They're
what it
trying
is.
to flop off like spasmodically to get out of your hands because they're like you don't know where I'm going, but I'm actually going over here, and you're like, well, you're 4 inches long, so
They're very odd little snakes.
Yeah, they're very cool. I just think there's a little bit of like a weird negative bias, like they make too many eggs and then they die too fast, and then people are like, well, I think we just need to reframe them as like a good pet for your kid because it's going to be dead by the time they go to college.
Exactly, it's perfect.
Right?
Yeah, it's free. It is what it is. That's kind of the way I look at it. Like that's as long as you're honest with the customer, tell them how long. They don't want to sell.
So you only run a pair, and then you hold back one female every 2 years. Like, what's the right way to like make that pair happen?
Keep a female back every year because sometimes they would just spontaneously die. That's what happened to me. It just all of a sudden my whole back was dead, and then my breeder was too old and she died, and now I'm buying again.
Do you just do pinkies, or do you do salmon and other froglings, whatever, too? Or do you just do pinkies?
Just rodents. Okay. I don't do any kind of I'm not bougie enough for the salmon and everything for the snakes.
Bro, I just go to Walmart.
Go to Walmart, yeah.
I like defrost like a fillet, and I'll give it to the Westerns too. Whoever wants it. The cat. Yeah. I just cut it into strips, and then I freeze the strips again, and I pull out a strip, and I just like cut it into like pinky sized pieces, and they just like nom it, put a little calcium powder on it.
Nice. I might try that.
It's like the midweek snack between a whole prey item. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't have time. I know people are like, if you don't feed your hognose 70 times a week, you're a bad keeper. I don't have time. They're getting fed every 7 days. I know some people are like, you need to do it twice a week. I'm like, they're fine. If Westerns are fine if you don't feed them twice a week. They're fine.
They are fine. They'll just grow slower. That's it. Yeah.
They breed at 3 instead of 2.
Yeah.
They're fine though. They're fine. A lot of people are like, why are you so small? I'm like, I got 300 snakes. That's why they're that small.
I would caveat that on hatchlings. I tell people to feed every 5 days. I feel like they do a little bit better for a while. You don't have to do it forever, but for a little while, I feel like the hognose they just do a little better on every 5 days. So I'm just throwing that out at you.
Okay,
maybe you're absolutely right.
Colors do. I just feel like the Westerns, if they're eating and they're good, they're just like they're good.
They are good.
Like I've bought snakes from other people who you can tell feed twice a week, and they're big, but they also are kind of obese a little bit.
Yes.
So and I've noticed this in corn snakes. If you fed, and you can double feed corn snakes too, but if you do that, they're very likely to build follicles, females, when they're in the summer when they're 2 years old. Do you want that? Maybe, maybe not. If you don't do that, they will breed consistently like the next winter or the next spring, and they're fine. Right. But like the probability of getting hips in a corn snake goes way up if they were double fed a bunch as babies. So yes, they grow bigger, but they're like on like the front edge of their growth curve. So they're always at risk of being a little bit fat for their size. What do you think of that? And then I'm like, that's happening inside of hognoses too. So if we're always double feeding them, they're always a little bit fat instead of like just chugging along a normal growth curve.
Correct. My caveat was hatchlings. So, like what I do for my hogs, corn snakes I just feed once a week for their life, and they're good.
Mhm.
Hognoses, to get my breeders up a little bit quicker, I'll do twice a week till they're in the fuzzy to hopper range, and then I start backing them off. I kind of push the gas and then I back off, because you're right.
Okay.
They get too big, too fat. You have this tiny little head and this big, huge body, and they don't do well as breeders, and all the negative things. I've found if you get them out of the pinky stage as fast as possible, there doesn't seem to be a negative effect, and I don't have to keep feeding them pinkies forever. And I don't know, it works
Yeah,
for me.
there's more substance to a fuzzy or hopper. Like once it is having like
Right,
real bones, it's
right,
more nutritious. So I get it. That's
right,
why I do like a piece of salmon as the off week snack.
right.
I just like there's like a labor thing involved in double feeding
Oh yeah,
hundreds of little things and
yeah.
then double pooping.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
it's a colubrid and they make 3 poops per unit snack.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe it's my corn snakiness affecting my hognoseness, and maybe that's a mistake. But
No, I think you're fine. You're just growing them a little slower. It's
yeah,
basically what you're doing,
right.
which isn't bad. And I don't grow my snakes big. Like all my snakes, even my king snakes, I keep them small. But I
Right,
do.
king snakes
I
will
push
grow
through that.
themselves too big if you're not careful.
Well, yeah,
They start having no neck anymore, and it's all like
yeah.
Lampropeltis unit, and you're like, "Oh, no."
Just thick and wanting to eat everything. Yeah.
Right, that's when you can tell you've done fucked up. Like, I've seen some hognoses, and I'm like, "That's, like,
Yeah.
horrific." And, it's really hard to ovulate if you are full of fat, and I think people don't
Yeah.
think about it that way.
Yeah. They do horrible as breeders. Like some of my breeders, like the older ones, are pretty big animals. But if you start like a 2-year old at like the quote unquote 300-gram thing,
Mhm.
a hog nose that's 2 years old at 300 grams it's just a bad idea to breed. It's not. You're gonna have egg binding is basically what you're gonna have more often than not. You're gonna have an animal that
Mhm.
lays half the eggs, and then you have to deal with getting the rest out.
Do you think people I mean, this is my theory based on corn snakes mostly, is that you should breed them the first time they have follicles so that they have small eggs when they have a relatively small body, if that makes sense. Because if the
Mhm.
longer you wait, the bigger they get and the fatter they are, even if you feed very conservatively. And
Yeah.
so they'll make these huge eggs they can't pass and they get egg bound. But if you are sort of running them lean and you keep, even if it's within the third year, you breed them at 250 grams, but she's 3 years old. She's clearly mature. She has
Mhm.
follicles. Breeder. She has a little
Mhm.
7-8 clutch, which is easier to sell.
Mhm.
And she has a chance to be mature and
Yeah.
get bigger follicles as her body gets used to it. Because I feel like that happens in corn snakes too. If I have a 4-year-old corn snake that for some reason didn't catch the year before, I'm like, she's probably gonna get egg bound because like she's huge, she's fat, and she's never done it before. What do you think about
Yep.
that theory?
100%. 100% on all that. Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Big girls don't make good breeders at all. My best breeders, hognose wise, are 4 years old, 250, 275 grams. I've got breeders that are below 200 grams. That's just how they are.
Mhm.
They do great. They give me a clutch of 10. They don't egg bind. They double clutch. We're all good.
Right.
Uh, but you
I
get
think
them
people are coming
huge
from, like, a
fast.
ball python mindset, like,
Hmm.
really big snake, big follicles, maybe large clutch count, but you don't really want that in a colubrid because it's all, like, tightly imbalanced. Like, she needs to be the right size for the size of her follicles, otherwise everything falls apart.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they just wear out with those huge clutches. Like they just get to the end and they're done. They can't get the
Have you
last
ever
few
had
out.
a triple header
Yes.
in hot
I
nose
had
land?
I had one last year. And then this year I had a girl in the prime breeding. So she's 6 years old. Bred a couple of times. Uh She slugged out the first time around with a male that I know is great. He's Mr. Macho. And then she doubled and gave me a really nice clutch, and then tripled and gave me a really nice clutch.
Do you think she knew the first one was bunk? And so she was more likely to be interested in a third?
Maybe. I
mean,
like,
knew is the wrong word there, but
right. Yeah. Like maybe, like, I think, like I had a stretch of slugs at the beginning of this year, and the winter here was very mild. And then the spring was very cold, and everything got a little weird. I had a case of the slugs, like you wouldn't believe. And I think we got some mistiming going on in the whole collection. I think that's what happened there. And then maybe you're right. Maybe she somehow, her body kind of knew that the first one wasn't any good, or maybe we just missed it, and then she had enough sperm to then do a third because the first one didn't get any.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, if a cord snake female slugs out the first one because I like mistimed the male or something, or he was busy and I was just messing stuff up, she is much more likely to accept a good lock right after she lays and have a full clutch for the double clutch. And even if another female double clutched but had a first good clutch, she's less likely to get a really good lock right after and have a full second clutch, in my experience. So I'm like, maybe sense. All hognose triple clutches have some sort of mistiming event, and they're not really supposed to triple clutch, but like something else is going on hormonally. Because I think the females don't. I mean, you've seen it. If a female has a bunch of slugs, a lot of times they don't lay on time. It's like delayed slightly. Yeah. And I think it's because the babies are. This is like very poor language choice, but they're communicating with the mother probably hormonally, like because they sort of bake a little bit inside of her because she'll go sit on the hot spot, and then once they're at a certain maturation level, she'll go lay them, and that's the baking is done. You know, we've shelled it. The embryo's developed a little bit. She puts it somewhere. She runs away, but she has to know when they're baked enough based on temperature to lay them, but slugs don't talk to her hormonally. That's why they're like, fuck it, it's been 3 weeks, I'll just lay these slugs whenever. And I'm like, are you egg bound? Maybe, but like also no, because they never even act like they want to go lay them. They just pass them whenever. So like the communication is off.
Yeah, you do this long enough, you can almost tell when it's going to be a slug clutch. You're pretty accurate when you're looking at it like this should have been like you should have laid by now. You look at a little weird. They start to look different than a girl that's going to lay good eggs. Yeah, it's kind of
I think hormonally there's some sort of something communication between her and her ovaries and her oviducts. We're like, okay, we've shelled real eggs or we haven't, so you need to treat your body differently. Like, so if a corn snake goes past, like, isn't in distress, like she's not trying to lay something, they're not down. I'm like, she's fully slugged out. She's just waiting to work them out with like the natural flow of her body, but she's not really going to have, I don't know, contractions. Maybe she does. I don't know. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
And then she's very likely once she passes those to want to do a full clutch.
Yeah, makes sense.
all snakes are weird, but definitely colubrids are weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did we cover everything? I forget. We're almost done here.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think, all right, last prognostication. What do you think the future of the hognose market is? Do you think it'll be supplanting ball pythons? Do you think it'll peter out a little bit because there's not ball python money flooding in to buy high-end stuff because they think the hognoses are easy and they know exactly how to breed them because they've bred ball pythons for 10 years?
There's a little of that.
A little of
that going on right now. I think the market's going to be good. We're definitely I think we're still on the upswing. Asian markets aren't buying as much. That's an issue right now. they're still very popular. They're still very popular as pets, which is a thing that ball python people kind of miss. I think, like you have to have someone that wants your quote unquote byproduct, and Hognoses absolutely still have that.
That's the best part about him, is even if it's cursed by being born a male normal, it's not like
somebody still
death.
wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the ball python people have, or market has gone so far into the investments, quote unquote investment, that it's problematic because nobody wants the pets, and then if nobody's buying the pets, there's no. It all kind of falls on itself. That's what's happening. I think the hognoses are still on that upward climb. I don't know if they'll ever be as big as ball pythons. Might ruffle some feathers. I do think the ball pythons are on the downward side of that peak of a market. I do think that. I think it'll still keep going up and down. You know, like the stock market goes up and down, but still goes up. I think they've already gotten to that peak, and I think they're going to go up and down, but I think it's going to be down. That's just a. Do
you think there'll be like a species? The hard part is like, is there something to replace it? I think that's like the wrong question now. I think it's more like there will be investment grade ball pythons and pet ball pythons, but they just won't be everybody's first thing they do, because they'll just be a % of the total reptile hobby instead of like 60% and then 40% of everything else. And a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, there's no fucking way. And I'm like, it's okay.
I think there
that would be okay. That would be okay if that happened.
Right. Yeah. We don't need, 60% is being nice. Like, somebody shows you go to 90%. Yeah, I think it'll be a group. I think it's pretty much right now. It's pretty much anything but a ball python sells pretty well. Not that people aren't buying ball pythons either. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing them or anything, but there's definitely.
They definitely are. It's just there's like people who just want a pet, and the people who want to buy a breeder are largely buying them online from other large breeders only. There's a little bit of like between, but like the middle of the market is the hardest.
Yeah,
it's better than a doorknob.
It is. They ignored the pet market for so long that I don't know if they can they get it back. I don't know. Like they almost look down.
Could they be out marshmallowed? I guess
they do marshmallow. That's exactly what they do. They almost look down on them. Like if you're producing pet grade ball pythons, what are you doing? Like, I'm supplying your industry, but they don't. That's not cool or something. I don't understand that.
I think the hard part is like, if every person who wanted to be a ball python person decided to be a person who sold to the pet market only, that segment would be flooded too. So you have to sort of be like, as a large scale ball python breeder, convincing them over and over again to buy in to some sort of new investment. This is the next project. This is the next project. Like moving the goalposts further and further down. So they bring more external money in, but then those people are never really able to like pay themselves because what they produce is mismatched with the actual demand in the market, which is largely pets currently, because the middle of the market is dead. So that I'm like, you don't have to glaze up a project that's not actually compensating you financially. You can go buy from your bud because he watches your table when you go take a piss.
Right.
Like you don't have to go up and like chase. You could just like have fun making true ghosts or whatever for fun with your buds. It's okay, because you mostly need to recontextualize who your customer is anyway. This is very controversial.
Yes, we're definitely ruffling feathers now.
Canceled right away.
Probably. Yeah, this whole investment thing is it's a lie that you can only make money on ball pythons if you are making $10,000 ball pythons. That's a lie. It's not true. You can make money selling $400 ball pythons. Ask Wilbanks. Like, you can make a lot of money doing it. But there's this sentiment out there that you're wasting your time if you're not doing you're not making a quad, whatever.
Yeah, and that you're like an inferior.
You're inferior
ball
to that.
python breeder, even though if you really like whatever you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. It's very hard because I think sometimes the moral implication of making only pet stuff, you're like, but then there's the moral implication of only making breeder stuff because most of those animals, their terminal condition is not a happy pet home anyway,
Right.
So I don't know. I think Hognoses will do good as long as good breeders steward them. Let me put it that way.
For sure.
So if good selective breeders, good people who think about what they're doing and want to be the junior of the future, want to like steward lines and take care of stuff, Hognoses will be fine. But if it's still a lot of like people fleeing from one species to hognose, those aren't stewards. They're people trying to recoup their investment again, which is the same problem again.
They're going to run into hognoses will break your heart. They're going to run into that. I'm already starting to get some of them kind of retracting out of it that I sold to. So they're kind of like, I don't like this. Like, there's too many of them. They poop all the time.
The time.
Yeah, like I've missed a pinky. Now I got flies all through the room. It's like, it's a lot of work. Ball pythons are very popular for one of the reasons is they're very easy. You 6 eggs and feeding them live. It's just when you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bluebirds, it's different.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, we're definitely ruffling feathers now. Totally canceled. No one's ever buying a ball python off of either one of us again.
No, and I God, it does make it hard because you're trying to be like honest about it. Like, I have these; they're hard for this reason, but good for this reason. I have these; they're hard for this reason, good for this reason. And they're like, "Stop shitting on my species." And I'm like, "I just said it was good for 5 reasons," and you're not listening. You're just only hearing that I said like, "Hey, sometimes it's actually really hard to sell at some shows a $500 ball python. It's like the impossible price point to sell." You can sell a $100 ball python or whatever, a little banana, but like an okay intro breeder ball python at a show, it's a white whale. I don't think I've ever sold a ball python at that price point, which just sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
It is. Well,
I can sell them online. I can sell them online.
I made some bananas this year that are right around that price point. Sold them quick. The black pastel inching in them, yellow belly, made them all pretty.
All right, good. That's what I need. I just have like, I don't know. I just have calico like combos, banana calico, inchy. They just sold okay. It wasn't enough. There needed to be more jazz. They needed to be actually like banana campfires or something.
Well, yellow belly and banana is just like I'm convinced that's the ticket.
The real trick.
Yep, that's the trick. Get yellow belly and something else, of course, but yeah.
All right, brother. I think we did it. Where can people find you to buy investment grade hognose snakes to get in?
So Morph Market, of course, business page, Adrian's Captive Creations. I'll be at the Mid-Atlantic in Carlisle on Saturday and the Hershey Reptile Expo on Sunday.
Oh, does the Hershey Reptile Expo smell like chocolate?
It does not. It is a very nice little building, though. It's all bougie in there. I like it.
Oh yeah, I like it too. It's fire. It's got chandeliers. No, it's classy.
It's
got chandeliers.
Good food trucks. It's a nice place to be. So.
All right. Let's say bye, everybody. Bye. Thanks for coming. I don't know if anybody learned anything, but fuck it.
Yeah, it's a good time.